I mean, it's looking that way. This was a major hurdle for the EU's AI Act, and the legislation is set to become the very first piece of legislation dedicated to artificial intelligence in the world. And that's important because it's going to set the standard for everything else. That's why they're really rushing this through at the moment. As you mentioned, this proposal from the European Commission behind me first came out in 2021. And this area is moving so fast that a lot has changed. And in their vote today, the European Parliament voted to change the proposal that the Commission had originally come out with in several ways, some of which are going to be controversial for sure. So the main thrust of this original proposal was that risk assessments will need to be carried out for any use of AI in sensitive areas such as utilities, like electric and water utilities, for the doling out of government assistance, government services, and also for tracking criminal activity. It also contains some provisions for generative AI, so that's what Chat GPT is. It would require that the makers of generative AI disclose if any copyrighted material has been used to generate that text. It would also require those makers of generative AI to prevent their systems from generating any illegal text, such as hate speech. But controversially, the Parliament also added a ban on the use of AI facial recognition, either in public spaces or in any real-time monitoring. Now, that's being opposed by the European Commission and by national EU governments because they say that facial recognition is needed by law enforcement and security services, and that there need to be pretty wide exemptions if the AI Act is going to contain anything like that. The Parliament's version passed today doesn't contain those exemptions. So we're set for a pretty big battle, I think, on this issue of facial recognition coming up in the next months.
Indeed, that whole issue of facial recognition is interesting. We have a reporter's documentary dedicated to that very issue. Dave, just a quick one. Sam Altman was asking for guidance. He, of course, of OpenAI, the man behind Chat GPT. He was asking for guidance, saying that the people in power need to sort of make laws. He asked Congress for the same thing. His word to the EU is similar, but he also threatened to pull out if it was too tough. Is that still a risk, do you think?
Yeah, Sam Altman has been on kind of a world tour of legislatures, and he came here to the Berlaymont, the headquarters of the European Commission, just a little while ago to meet with President Ursula von der Leyen. Now, he's changed his tune since that original threat. He says that he wants some kind of regulatory framework to be set for generative AI, but on the specific idea that the copyrighted material used to generate it would have to be disclosed, he has said that's simply not possible, that there's no way that they can determine what source material was used by the AI. So that's going to receive pushback. But he absolutely did walk back that initial threat where he said, well, OpenAI is just going to leave the European Union. I think because obviously this is the world's largest single market, and that was never really a credible threat. It's never really a credible threat coming from anyone. But also, I think he knows that other regulatory regimes around the world, including the United States, are watching what's happening here in Brussels and may design their own laws in the same way.
Would walk away from that big single market, wouldn't they? David, thank you very much indeed, as ever, for your input. Always appreciated. David Keating, our correspondent in Brussels, watching for development.